Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I have a thing whenever I have a guest, they got to do the YouTube thing with me. So, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Okay,
Yes. So, we
I
have
like
a
that.
special, huh?
I like that. I like that. That's cool.
Right? Shimmy, shimmy. So I have a special guest here with me, Miss Peter, my sister, my big sister in Christ. So today we're gonna talk about parenthood, and I invited her on here with me so that we can talk about this topic. So before we begin, I would like for you to introduce you to the people, and then I'll tell them how I know you, how you and I met.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone in Teen's YouTube channel. My name is Peter Gay Harriet. I am 39 years old, and I'm the mother to four lovely kids. I have two biological kids, a boy and a girl, and then I also have my two bonus daughters,
Mhm.
Samantha and Sabrina. Of course, I live here in St. Martin, but
All right.
originally from yeah.
Big up, big up, big up to the family. Before we go into the questions, I'm gonna do a little icebreaker, little question. What is one thing that you used to do as a kid that you miss doing now as an adult?
One thing that I used to do as a kid that I miss doing now as an adult. Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. I think playing baseball in the yard.
Oh, you used to play baseball?
Yeah, yeah, I was very active. I love riding bicycles. So yeah, we used to play, like army stuff and we running like we have mock guns and running and hiding and ducking and rolling.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah. So I miss
totally
playing.
different than my upbringing.
Yeah, I miss playing baseball in the yard because we were in like a little a community, more than one house in the
Yeah.
yard. So all the
Mm-hmm.
kids we would play baseball. So that's always a fun memory for me.
Mm. Well, for me, it would be in high school. I used to go to the beach a lot with my friends. Like DV would be the spot for us. So we would go buy food, would go to the pool, go to the beach. I mean, I do go to the beach often now, but I mean, I do go to the beach, but not as often as I used to back then. So that's one thing that I do miss. So now we're gonna go right into the interview. So you said that you have two bonus daughters. You have two kids, so four kids in general. So before like parenthood, like what was your thought before you actually had kids? Did you think that you were prepared to have children? Even before we go into that, you are raising your kids with your husband, so you have that support.
Yes, yes.
So even like, what was the process like for you guys before you had children, and knowing that he came in with two kids, two bonus
Right.
daughters?
Right. I have step parents.
Okay.
So I have a stepmother and I have a stepfather. And unfortunately, that situation or relationship on both ends were not the best,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
So with both with stepmother and stepfather. So, like I always would say, like, if I end up, that was always in my mind. Like, if I do get stepchildren, I would like never treat them like that. Like, I would
mm-hmm,
treat them
mm-hmm,
like my own.
mm-hmm,
So going into that as a kid, that was already my mindset,
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know, not knowing that I would actually meet someone with kids, but it
mm-hmm.
was just, wow, like I would never want my stepkids to maybe feel the way that I did growing up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, as I got older, my relationship with my step parents changed. Not
mm-hmm.
close, but we were cordial and,
Okay.
have a conversation, so
Mm-hmm,
to speak. So, like I lived here, so I migrated here to St. Martin with my mom.
mm-hmm.
So I was 7 years old. So I grew up with my stepfather, my
Okay.
stepmother, uh, once in a blue moon, right, with my
Mm-hmm,
dad
mm-hmm,
because they were from Jamaica. So most of my experience was with my stepdad.
mm-hmm.
It was not always the best. So that was my mindset, and I had a really good mom. My mom was really good. We had a very close relationship, very open. I
Mm-hmm.
could talk to her about anything. So
Mm.
foundation already. So I was like, yep, I want to be like my mom. I want to have the kind of relationship with my kids that me and my mom had
Mm-hmm.
or had,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Mm-hmm.
that was the basis for, I guess, my parenting. And not growing up with my father also, I was like, no, I need my kids to grow up, so I wanted to get married and I wanted to have that family father
Dynamic.
there. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, wanted to have
Okay.
that dynamic. So that was important for me before.
Okay. So your upbringing, you had a stepmom and you had a stepdad, and that experience didn't change your mindset. And because some people, they've said that probably like they don't want to be in a relationship where stepkids come in. So that was not your mindset. You came in, okay, if the guy has a kid, you don't have any problem with that.
Correct.
All right.
It just made me want it to be better if I
Mm-hmm.
had that situation. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, now you've met your husband with two bonus daughters. Um, did you think that you were ready? How was because the transition into like being someone's bonus mom?
It was easy, no effort, to be honest.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I think because of how God created me, it was very
mm-hmm,
easy. I
mm-hmm,
welcomed them with open arms. We used to get a lot of comments that, whoa, like I treat them so nice. And even their mom
mm-hmm,
liked me a lot compared
mm-hmm.
to, let's say, previous girlfriends. Because at the time we were not married, right? When we just
Mm-hmm,
met, because
mm-hmm,
I was so inclusive of the two of them,
mm-hmm,
so I would have them. So it was very natural. It was easy. And
mm-hmm,
also the fact that she, the mother, because
mm-hmm,
that can be an issue, their
mm-hmm,
biological, she
mm-hmm,
made it easy as well. I mean, she and my now husband, they were separate. They weren't together for a long time, but she could have made it difficult, but she didn't. She was very welcoming, very, very nice. So that helped as well, right?
and
But
that's
it's easy transition. That's how it was.
beautiful, beautiful. That's not something that you hear every day. Because sometimes it could be a whole, let's say, drama. But you talked about your mom and the relationship that you had with your mom and how open it was for you. And so looking at your relationship with your mom, what qualities that you took that you were able to use in your parenthood?
Yeah, my parenting skills.
Yes, yes, that's the word.
My mom, very loving. So I definitely very loving, as very affectionate. That's the word, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
touch, baby, hug, kisses. Yes,
Aw.
got that till this day. And I remember even before I had kids on my own, when we would sometimes, even as a young adult, we would be in town holding hands. That
Aw.
kind of stuff. She would like every year she's crying. I'm like, why are you crying, lady? Like I do this
Aw.
every year. So the loving, being very loving, being affectionate, and the openness, making it easy for me to come to her with anything.
That
Yeah,
is, hearing you say that, it blows my mind.
yeah. And my mom is a Caribbean mom. People would say, like,
Exactly.
she's originally from Jamaica, grew up here, and yeah, she was. If I have to tell you some story, I open with anything. Let's leave it at that. Anything.
And
Yeah.
that's beautiful because like in my household, affection it's not now, it's something that is being shown more. But being brought up in the Caribbean, like parents don't always show that affection. Is that I paid a house bill, I give you food, that's it. The affection part of it is it lacks, but it's something that is very important. So when you look at your upbringing and your, like, even the people around you, are you able to tell like the differences between where the affection is lacking and where you received it? Like, are you frozen? Oh.
Tell the difference with others, with maybe
Mm-hmm,
other.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because it's not you said your mom is Caribbean, she's from Jamaica. So that in our culture, it's not affection from our parents is not something that is often showed like physically, but like say materialistically, I provide for you, but affection wise, or I hug and kiss is not something that you often receive in your household, but it's something that is important. How would
No,
you say it affected your upbringing?
it affected it very good, and it was normal for me. Like, I didn't, even like I said, it was a yard, a big yard
Mm-hmm.
with different houses. So I never really looked at the other kids or wondered if they were, yeah, that one yeah, no.
Uh-huh.
But then,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was just, yeah, I get my affection from my mom, and that was it. I never really thought about it. However,
Mm-hmm.
what in case of myself and my husband now, I
Mm-hmm.
saw, because he not grew up with his mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he, was this thing about motherly love, because mothers love you unconditionally and that kind of stuff. So he did not grow up with lots of affection and maybe tenderness and softness and gentleness that usually moms bring to the table, you in the general sense of the word.
Yeah.
So I definitely saw a difference there in how we parented,
Mm.
because maybe a bit more, he was maybe a bit more strict, rigid,
Mm-hmm.
and I would maybe be a bit more lenient, soft, tender, and you can even see even in our relationship in the beginning, I
Mm-hmm.
was more affectionate and he was not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of had to, fend for himself from a very young age also. So he really had to toughen up early,
Mm-hmm.
So we had some of those clashes even with rearing our son, you
Mm.
know, because there is that thing, the sons have to be tough, and you know how it is. So we had some challenges there, some major
Okay.
challenges there with rearing our son, and because of how we were both
Brought
different, the
up.
difference
Mm-hmm.
in how we were brought up. So we had some challenges there, but we managed to get through them. It was
Okay.
hard though. It was hard because everyone will feel that their way is the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to kind of find a compromise and a bridge to,
Mm-hmm.
because while you want them, our boys, to be tough and to be strong because they're going to be the leaders of their home as well,
Mm-hmm.
you still don't want them to not be comfortable with their emotions and to be able
True.
to discuss it and talk about it. So
Mm-hmm.
that was important for me, because that's why we have so many angry men, because we don't make them comfortable with their emotions from small, because stop the crying, what are you crying for, you gotta be, we tell them a lot of these things, which sometimes, yes, it is needed,
Mm-hmm.
but it shouldn't be all the time. They should be comfortable. If they're feeling sad, let them cry, let
Mm-hmm.
them come and be like, I didn't like this. Make them comfortable with expressing themselves. And this is
Mm-hmm.
why now when they get married later on, they are having issues, because women, we are more expressive. We will talk, and then they're having issues expressing themselves. They don't know how to be vulnerable, So my
Yes.
mindset has always been from my God is that they're not gonna stay babies for forever. I'm
True.
rearing citizens for this world. So you have to kind
Yes.
of start from early.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start from early to try and instill these principles and stuff in them.
Yes. So I love the points that you brought across. The fact that because men are not taught how to express themselves at a young age, now we have a lot of angry young men. But I want to go back a step where you talked about, you and your husband clashing sometimes in rearing up your son. So how did you guys like work through that? Or can
Boy,
you give an example of, of a situation where you were maybe more on the softer side and where he, how does that look like?
how did we work through that? That is a very good question.
Right?
Because I don't know if we work through it in the ideal way or I would prescribe it to others, but
Mm-hmm.
we managed to work through it in the sense of I had to both my husband and I, we both have strong personalities, right? And sometimes what you can have is one definitely has to
Yes,
temper it down
yes.
in order for it to work, because when you
That
have
is
two
true.
personalities, it can, if one doesn't seek to compromise, you're gonna always be at it, and there will always be conflict. So
True.
it was, if I'm being honest and transparent, it was a lot of arguments, heated
Mm-hmm.
arguments.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, when I realized I had to take a look within myself, because I'm responsible for me, right?
Yeah, true.
Responsible for myself. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
really take a look into myself and say, okay, no, PG, what you're doing is wrong. It's not right. You can do this better. So I started personally to make some changes and to also allow him to be a father. So giving an example is, okay, let's say he's correcting him for something,
Mm-hmm.
disagree with the way, not
Mm-hmm.
correcting, but with the way or the
Mm-hmm.
manner in which it is being done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I might be peeping around the corner and looking, like I'm watching, and so I had to stop those stuff. And if he's dealing with my son, remove myself, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
like a physical thing, to make him feel like, yes, you are the dad, you can correct him, and don't make him feel like he's going to do something wrong or
Mm-hmm.
hard. So that was something that I personally had to work on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
Just saying that was how we managed to reach,
Like a
today.
middle ground.
Yes, today where we're at, their relationship is in a definitely much better place
Mm-hmm.
than before,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy about that. It wasn't just my efforts though; it was also my husband's, of course,
Yes.
and like just encouraging them having one-on-one time together. Also, that
Yeah.
was something that was done on his part to help bridge, whatever challenges that there were.
Okay, beautiful. So I like that you said that you stop peeping, because sometimes when you step in while he's correcting, your son is like you kind of bring you kind of like picking sides. Parenthood, I feel like it has to be something that is in unison. It's something that is at one. Even if you disagree with your husband at the time, that you don't have the disagreement in front of your kids at that time. So that's a great example, of you being cautious of your actions and how it influences your kids, because they see everything, they notice and they pick up on everything. So even with me saying that, what are your thoughts of the term do as I say and not as I do? Do as I say and not as I do.
It's kind of like but
Okay, do tell.
I disagree mostly with it,
Okay.
right? That saying was good back then,
You find?
right? Good in the sense of we were more like how we were being raised. It was like, just listen to me. You don't have a voice. I mean, I didn't have that, but I know it was general. People like that with a lot of Caribbean homes, it's like,
Yeah.
just do tell you, and what, don't talk back, and why you crying, hush, you got you,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of kids were treated as if, they were not human beings and that they don't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, kids were more, okay, you listen and you respect. But the kids now, they are more paying attention. And I experienced this in my own home. They more pay attention to your actions and then than what you say. And my kids will quick to highlight when you
Mm.
and your words don't align. Okay? So they
Mm-hmm,
would be like,
mm-hmm,
how are you telling me to do this? And you so and so,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
my
mm-hmm.
kids are quick to do that. So that's why I say when I said it was good back then, not that it was the right way, meaning the kids now are a bit, they're not the same. Huh? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the water, the food. I don't know. But my kids they're kids nowadays are a bit more vocal, more
They're
expressive.
more outspoken.
They're more outspoken. So I definitely believe more in, if you're gonna say something, your actions should
That
also
match.
at
Gotta match.
least in front of them, that kind
Yeah.
of way. Yeah, at least, because I mean, let's face it, we're adults, we're gonna do, this is being real, we're gonna do what we want when we feel like. Most people, that's how adults think. But at least in front of them, because also when they are younger, kids are very black and white. They don't
Mm-hmm.
understand gray as yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as they get older, they will learn about the gray,
Mm-hmm.
and not always, but when they're young, it's either black or white.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of have to stay like that in terms of your explanations and what is being done in front of them. Then as they get older, you explain to them and you start to teach them. Plus, they also experience that everything is not just going to be black or white.
Mm-hmm.
Have a little gray sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so my thoughts about that is more of I understand where you're coming from, because back then we had more respect, yes, because of the fear.
Yes. Yes.
And
They,
I don't necessarily I think I don't necessarily think is a 100% good thing, because now the kids are more expressive. That's good because they're not gonna get pushed around that easily. But you could be expressive and still have respect, you know.
yes.
But back then, it's like once you say something, you're giving your parents a back chat. But I'm really curious why you tell me this and this, like instead of giving me an explanation, you shut me down. And sometimes these things that happen when you're young, not being able to express yourself, it comes back when you're older, because it's like you don't know who you are. Whenever you want to say something, you hold yourself back because you're not too sure of yourself. I understand back then, yes, respect for the older folks. It shows it was shown as respect, that you don't give them any back chat, you don't give no answer, whatever they say goes. But then you're still here with these questions, with all these unresolved maybe issues, and compared to the kids back then and now, I get it, so
Yeah,
yeah.
no, no, you're totally correct, and that's it brings me back to the point that I made, that we have to remember that they're not staying kids forever. We're training them to be citizens out there on
Mm-hmm.
the job when they get their own home. No, we won't get everything right,
Yeah.
but we have to have that mindset that they're not going to stay with us. And we have to remember that I always say, I don't want my kids to be a problem in society, you know?
Mm.
So for instance, even here, so my husband I grew up here and my husband grew up in Jamaica. And, it's kind of like that mindset. You shouldn't have anything to say, maybe that kind of stuff, but we would always talk, and I would always, what we try to do. And I'm thankful that he is like, could be just as much as I am, because he brings some good qualities as well that I have also kind of backed down and just let him do what he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that, he's also receptive to, maybe like what I have to say. So we actually would give our kids, like if something happened, we give them the chance to speak,
Mm-hmm.
or say something. And I would always tell him, like, I don't mind they're upset and they go to their room and close their door. Just don't slam my door. You can just don't, right? Because then I find that's being rude. But
Disrespectful.
they're human beings. They're gonna have feelings, people. They're gonna have feelings, and you cannot not expect them to. Okay, yes, mommy. No, they might disagree with the things we say or do, or
Mm-hmm.
just it might happen, and they might be upset. They might be
Mm-hmm.
sad.
Mm-hmm.
They're human beings.
Yes.
Children don't not, they're still human beings. And sometimes us as adults, it's hard for us to process our own feelings. Imagine 9-year-olds, 13-year-olds. Come on.
True.
So even sometimes after, like with my son, I did that a lot with him and my stepdaughters. Like I would always sit down and like reason and talk, and we would, like they share whatever, and I would explain to them, like, hey, this is why. Because sometimes things get heated and you shout and but after, like we would go and I would sit down and I'd be like, look, this is why, this, so and so, and this is, exactly why. Or like maybe sometime if they want something and they feel like, oh well, they should have gotten it. I break down, I share with them our bills, like what we
Mm-hmm.
pay, give them
Mm-hmm.
numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, it's not that easy, and you have to understand, and that works really hard, and
Mm-hmm.
like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I try to let them understand, not just say no, don't do this, or no, you're not getting it, but I try to give them an understanding as to why,
Mm-hmm.
as to why, so then they can also formulate their own, like, okay, like I get it now, you know
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff is what and we have stuff sometimes if something is really, we have family meetings, not often, but we've had them regular, where if some really, we call everybody and we let everybody, okay, well, what do you have to say? Okay, and we try to, and I must say, my husband is the one that you normally calls those family meetings, which I find good. Yeah, not
Beautiful.
me. He's the one that calls them, like if he feels, okay, well, we need to address an issue as a family, and everyone is there and everybody gets to say what they have to say, and he's actually very good at this.
Beautiful.
We have those, and we by far not perfect, we by far not perfect, but we're trying to do it a little different, and I would hope that our kids would one day say parents will see.
But I feel that's very important to provide a safe space for your kids to speak. At the beginning of the interview, I said I was gonna say the reason why I invited you, because I remember you made a comment that a few like people have told you that you parent as a Caucasian, as a white person. And I was like, I would really like to hear your perspective, because then it's not like your typical Caribbean upbringing. And even the family meetings, I feel like that's a great thing. I never had family meetings. My best friend, she talked about it, and coming from a Haitian background too, we don't have no time, and not we don't have no time, but our parents don't take the time out to hear about our feelings, hear about our emotions, So I think that was very big. That's very big of you guys to do. And the fact that you mentioned that your husband is the one that comes and he conducts it. So it shows how important it is to have that balance, that togetherness. And yes, you have your role, and he also has a role in the whole, parenthood as well. So
Yeah. I had a thought there just now, but it kind of
escape you.
slipped me, yes, while you were talking. But because I read a lot. I haven't read a lot in the last years, but I have a lot of books because there's no one book, and every child is different. Can I tell you? So what works for one does not work for the other. So that's another thing too. You have to become like a student of your child. You have to learn what works for them. So my friend, it's a friend that said that to me. A friend, she's like, and it always stuck with me, right? Because she's like, oh, you parent, because I have gone back, I have apologized to my kids before. I have apologized, like if I find, well, I handled something wrong or not in the best way, I have gone and I have apologized to my kids before. And even at the youth meeting, I think we were talking about it, and some of the kids, they were like, really? You do that? Like, really? They were like, because I'm not always right. True. And sometimes I get it wrong, so we do stuff like that. My husband does it as well, like would apologize, like, if something, or sometimes even when, maybe let's say it's nothing with them, but maybe we might have an argument between us and it gets a little, crazy sometimes. And we have apologized to them, like, guys, we're sorry that you have to be a part of this or experience this kind of stuff. And that's what we do. And another thing important too is to try and spend one-on-one time with each child. It's good to things as a family, but like my husband and my husband and the kids sometime individually would go to the movies, and he would take them out individually, as well as that's important, for them to feel that they're small, because they are, each one of them, everything is not just you're sharing the spotlight with this other sibling, but no, you get your one-on-one time with me because you're important and you're a priority. That's another thing too that we have done. We haven't been as constant the last 2 years, but we have done it often. We have done it often enough to say that I see that it really works. And I know we do a lot of stuff with mothers, but fathers are so important.
Yes, they
Fathers are so important, and dare I say, a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit more maybe important than mothers. I know mothers gets a lot of the credit, but Words are so important. I've seen it. I've seen the way my kids is like my one of my stepdaughters, like I could tell her like, no, the outfit look good, but it's like they crave that validation with dad. I can give it to them, but it's not the same.
True.
Can I tell you it's not him? Okay, but when I would tell her like, yeah, it look good, man. And if her dad says, no, take it off, she changes. She changes. And I with my son, like he wanted to do like his father's validation is so important to him. I legit see it. And even with the one of my stepdaughters lived with us. She just migrated to Canada for school. And she was with us since 14. She's now 22. And she was in a relationship, etc., and it didn't end well. And she said to me, and the way she handled it, she said it went back to kind of relationship that she and her dad had, right? Because her dad her dad opened doors for her. So because that relationship so long, he was able to be like, no, I'm not dealing with this situation. So whatever, because that love, like, and when she was going through it, he would hug her and, like those kind of, yeah. And she said it's because of that relationship with her dad. And I saw like, wow, like, so she didn't feel she need to stay in this situation or accept it for what it was, She was like, no, I have my standard and because of her dad. It's not because of me, that's because of fathers are so important. And that's how God intended it to be.
Yeah.
That's how God intended it to be. Your father is supposed to be that first that first example of a man, and it should also be a reflection of Christ as well. That's really how God created it to be. It should be. So I just want to that message out. I know you're interviewing a mom, but fathers, you are important.
Yes.
Even if you're not together with a mom, play a role in your child's life. It makes a difference. It makes a difference for both daughters and sons. A huge difference, because I didn't grow up with my dad, right? So I what it did to me, and then seeing it, the dynamic now with my kid's father with them, and like it hasn't always been perfect, but you see the difference. So even if it was close to perfect, it would have been like, wow, but you see the difference, So I just want to shout out to all the dads. If you're there and you're involved in your child's life, keep it up. And if you're not, it's never too late to start. Yeah.
Definitely. That is true. You were on point with that, because I was gonna ask you how, but then you explained it, and it is important for the father's role is important. Sometimes you do have the dad in the household and he doesn't really have that relationship with the kid like that. Yes, I pay bills and I do this, but that relationship is important. The way that you treat your daughter will is like the foundation as to what she's gonna look for when she goes out there and look for someone, her own spouse. So the father role is very important. The mom too, but as you stated, the mothers, we give a lot of credits for the mom because of the affectionate part, but there are some great dads out there, and sometimes we don't really take the time to acknowledge them enough. They talk about they talk about the dads that don't be doing the most, the deadbeat dad, and there are mothers that also are not as involved in their kids' life as well, and people don't talk about that enough too.
Yeah, correct, exactly. Because I know, so I can tell you. I mean, I know of mothers. I mean, everything that's happening, they're ready. But then when it's school now, your school fees are not paid. No. Them things, no. So you do have some moms that are not, not perfect, but at least not sometimes. And another thing I do with my kids is, and my husband does it too, but I maybe do it more. I ask them, so as a Christian as well, like I've asked my kids, am I portraying life like when you think like Christian? Do I behave like a Christian? Because we can be way out in the world when we're in church and we out amongst people. At home, you tend to be your real self. That's the stuff that I do because I want to know, because that's important for me to reflect Christ in my home. I do that because it's important for me to reflect Christ at home, with my kids. Though I'm a Christian, I don't push my kids to get baptized and stuff like that. I just try to plant the seed, make sure they're in church, and I try to, at least portray it to them in as much as possible. So like I've even asked, like, hey, do I, does it come up? Do I, I've asked them that to do even a reflection on myself, to see, well, okay, is this being done, or I've even asked them, what they think about me and their father's relationship. Is it something that they would want? What do they like? What they don't like? Just even to trigger their thoughts on those things as well. Because trust me, you said in the beginning, they observe and they watch. Okay, they observe and they watch, because my daughter sometimes is my little daughter. She's 9. She's going to be 10 on Tuesday, the 11th. The 11th,
Okay.
Wednesday, and she is one that quick to I thought you're a Christian.
Oh.
So it's good. Like, so I'm like, Sienna, stop. you know, and even with her, it's so funny. So like, I don't allow her to maybe wear certain clothes, dress certain way. So even when growing up, I would mostly buy a lot of whole swimwear for her. Or if it's 2 pieces, like the tankini, so it comes midway down and it comes up the navel. And I think I started to buy that a little late, but I remember one time when I first got her one, because I was like, okay, this is, nice, appropriate, not overly thing. And then when she wore it, she felt so uncomfortable in the beginning, because I'm not one to let her expose her stomach and those kind of stuff, So those things, so even now also she's not, she even with her dressing, she can become a little conscious as well with those things. So they watch. That's my point, that they watch, they observe, they watch you. Even my big daughter, I try on, because I don't dress a certain way anymore as a child of God, because before I used to show a lot of cleavage, but I don't anymore, and I haven't for a while. And I tried on a dress the other day that I was buying from someone, but I was going to alter it, right? But I just tried it on as is. And she was like, oh, wow, it's a nice dress. And then she started to pull it together to close the cleavage area, because I realized they're not used to seeing me like that. So even she was like, okay, but, fix it, fix it. So parents, kids are watching, they're observing, they're taking in, and they have an opinion, they have a voice. So I'm saying all of that to say that be mindful of be mindful of your actions. That to train up a child in the way of the Lord, or how you want him to go. Trust me, it sticks, it stays. They mightn't do everything, but trust me, it's always there in their subconscious. It's all, the seed has been planted. Just plant the seed, continue to water it, and let the Holy Spirit, for the Christian parents, do the rest.
Yes. I was going to ask you the question about that, because sometimes where God and church is related, because sometimes being brought up in the church, the parent kind of want to force down Christianity on their kids. And it's one thing for you to bring them to church and just have them there, but it's a difference where you actually, the way that you say that you're planting that seed, it's different than just bringing them to church and you're not actually being that Christian parent. So with you following up with your kids and asking them, do I portray this? How does it look at home? It's very big of you to do so, because the parents don't often do it. And sometimes you wonder, oh, they're always going to church with their parents, they're involved in everything, and now they just left church, and you don't understand what the lifestyle was for them at home. Yes, the parents they're in church, they look, and when they're at home, they're fighting with their mom, punches, bad words coming out of their mouth. And kids are seeing that. It's like, you're not being truthful to who you say you are. You're being fake. They might not say it because they're not allowed to, but they see it.
And that's the reason why I apologize to my kid, because it is important to show them that being a Christian, you're not perfect, but then you can recognize when you're wrong, come and say sorry. So those are the reasons, because even with kids, when they do something wrong, you don't always have to beat them and punish them. Sometimes show them a little grace, no?
Yeah.
Show them a little forgiveness. We don't beat, and because that's what God does for us. That's that's what we are his children. That's what he does for us. So if we even use that, if we even want to take that example into play into our parenting, because we're supposed to be as Christians and portray that, that is part of it too. You don't always have to beat and give them punishment. You don't always have to. They can do something wrong and you can be like, I'm very upset. You shouldn't have, but we all make mistakes. I hope you learn from your mistake. You don't always have to beat and punish. You can just sometimes show a little grace too. That's also how we portray Christ to them. Because imagine, like you rightfully said, a lot of them sometimes come church, but then they ain't getting no grace, love, mercy at home, and then they turn from the church. From the church, they don't want to have nothing to do with the church, because if this is what it's about, don't my mother there on the pulpit dressed nice. When she home, she's a beast. My father, so it's like those are the things that sometimes, I mean, apart from sin and you want to do your own thing, that actually turn their minds from church. And so I try to be intentional about, even I'll give you the perfect example. Last year, I have to apologize to my kids. I said, I'm sorry, mom was not the best mom, because I wasn't. Their schoolwork, my daughter this week, and God bless, she has a good brain, because I did no revision with her. I was not the teacher. All I would be like, you do your homework? Yes, okay. I don't check nothing. So when the grades come, I have to take what I got, because I didn't play my part also. So I couldn't even be upset with them, and sometimes parents, and this is me just being like acknowledging, like, no, I didn't do my part, so I cannot expect them now to come and give me a big production when I didn't play my part in helping them get there. So I take what I get and I tell them, guess what? Great job. Didn't do my part. So how can I be with them? They're still children, still dependent upon us for some things. Of course, they need to take responsibility, but we have a very integral part to play. So I just take what I get.
So even with that, as a mom, how do you self-care? Because you're taking care of your kids, you're working, and you have your husband as well, which is great, so that you can share the load with them, but you also have your personal things that you go through. So how do you self-care? Because sometimes as moms, not we, but because I'm not a mom yet, but but as women, sometimes we feel we have to do everything. It kind of feels wrong, kind of, for some to take a step back and take care of themselves. I can say for my mom, she's a hard-working woman, and for her to stay still, it's weird. Like, she cannot be home for too long, because idleness does not work well for her. Like, even if she's not feeling 100%, she's still gonna try her best to give her most. So how do you take care of yourself in order for you to show up even better for your kids? Because you need to be, full, so that you can pour into your children. So what do you do?
Definitely. I always tell people I need two things to get my day going. Two things. I need to be able to do devotions. And so I'm a morning person. So I need to wake up, do my devotion, and go to the gym. Those two I need to really get my day going, because the gym, and not just gym, just working out, whether it's swimming, dancing, whatever you do, cycling, walking, whatever. It's scientific. It releases the endorphins and whatever. And I could go gym all puffed up, and when I done, I light like a feather. I'm ready to float in the air. So those are two key things that works for me. Is my quality time with God in the mornings, which last year, all over the place right now, but the Lord is good.
Amen.
But have worked for me. Those two things. Then other things that I do, I try to eat clean, because your food is fuel for your body. It's just like a car. If you put the bad oil in it, it's not going to function properly. If you don't service it every now and again, it won't function. So I've experienced when I eat clean, your mind is more clear also. You have more energy also, versus eating a particular way. So I try to eat clean, definitely. So that's part of self-care as well. So I try to do those stuff, and I try to get enough sleep. Because that's also self-care. That's also how you're repairing. You know, your body, and you know, because I mean, if you ever function where you lack sleep, for me personally, it's not good. I just not in the best mood. Versus when I get,
Cranky.
versus when I get sufficient sleep, I feel I could take on the world.
Mm.
But those are,
Uh,
and it's just downtime. I sometimes, to be honest, I say, kids, leave me alone. Get out my room. I need to be alone. Yeah, that's what I do. I need to be alone. You know, and then of course you have your activities that you do, and but it helps though, because my kids are in a different phase. For parents with younger kids, it might be more challenging to do certain things because they're younger, they're more dependent on you. So
yeah.
I had that phase when I wasn't able to go to the gym in the mornings and stuff like that, right? So my kids now, they're older, they're a bit more self-sufficient, so they're not that dependent on me anymore. So I get a little bit more free time now, to be honest. But when the kids are younger, it can be a little challenging. But find what works for you. Find what works for you.
And for your husband, I'm sure that he needs his time too. How do you make it how do you create that space so he can also recharge as well?
Um,
If
well, um,
that's something.
we try to, he likes to just, maybe be somewhere, have a drink with his friends. So he has that
Okay.
when he's home, and he recently opened a business. So it's like really long hours, really, really long hours, because the business is open 7 days a week. It's kind of like a 8 till sometime 12, 1 in the morning, right? Because of the type of business he has. So when he comes home, and if he's tired and stuff like that, which is these days his recharge, I try to make sure the room is, some I might light some candles, and make sure the room is well tidy. So comes in, play some instrumental, that, or I make sure like I come out of the room, because when I'm in the room, the kids will come in the room. So I would like, just so he can just have his moment and just relax.
I
What
love that.
and then he also likes to watch Netflix. So that's another thing that he uses also to kind of unwind. But I just at least try to get his home for him to get his proper rest at least.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the thought that you put into it. So I want to go back to, that might be the last point that we talk about, with you creating your own the safe space for your children. How do you prepare mentally for what they're about to like? Do you prepare mentally for what they're about to tell you? Are you ever like, oh my gosh, they just told me that, how am I going to answer? Like, are you ever like sidetracked by what they come to you with, and how do you deal with that?
One time I was one of the kids a bit caught off, but like I said, oh God created me. I'm very calm, so I was able to not freak out. I was able to, calmly reassure, love, even though it wasn't so good, but even in that moment, had to reassure and still love, and then find a way to deal with it. There were two occasions actually, and I had to also be that voice of reason also for my husband, right? And be like, hey, because you didn't want to scare the kid, you didn't want him to feel bad, those kind of stuff, right? Because I like with my son, because he's my first biological child, so baby, I was always so from small I would always tell people, no, I train in him for when he's a teenager, because that's the years teenage, they like to shut down and don't be open with you. So very small, it might sound weird. I used to be like, hey, so I talk in pre-K and this is young. So any girls you like? Kind of bridge it, make him feel comfortable in telling me things. The good, the bad, the ugly, let mommy know. I want to know, right? Let me guys, let us tell you. So I was very intentional about those stuff, and I would be like, okay, it's okay to like a girl, but remember, no touching, no this, no that, that kind of stuff. Can I tell you, it worked? Can I tell you, it worked? And we tried to have that. When my stepdaughter came also, I was very open with her, because like I said, my mom, again, right? That's the influence. So I'm very open even to with my little girl. We'll see how it works with her. But it must, when at a certain point he had kind of started to withdraw a bit. And I was really hurt by it. But
Teen, when he just
yeah,
hit, high
yeah,
school.
yeah, but then so while he wouldn't tell me things right away, he would still tell me he just might take a little longer,
Mm,
but he was still telling me, and I was
mhm,
very thankful for the wisdom from
mm,
so early to do that, because it really did. Or if I would go to him, he would then, it would always come out. That's my point. It would
mhm,
always
mhm.
come out after how long it.
I think too is how you approach them. If you come to them with, "Ooh, who this person is, what you, of course they're gonna want to shut down. But if you come and the way you approach them, the way that you speak, the words that you use, your demeanor, it'll be more easier for them to open up to you. Whereas, if you come to them in a rough manner. So that is all the questions that I have so far. Before we end, and is there one other, like any additional thing that you want to talk about that you would like to elaborate on? You did give some great pointers, creating safe space for your children. You talked about how important having a dad in the house is, and that was a great emphasis. Like that was beautiful. Raising a daughter is one thing, we can talk, we can express ourselves, but rearing your son to be able to be expressive is good, because then he can articulate how he feels, and it's not just like I shut it down and I don't have to deal with it. So is there any additional thing that you would like to add to all of the nuggets that you dropped? You froze.
Mm,
Oh no, you're back.
oh, I froze. Good.
Yeah, you were
Okay.
like this for a
Yes.
minute.
Sorry, I don't know.
The internet doing what it wants to do right now.
Oh, St. Martin Internet. Oops. um, Create a safe space. Every child is different. That is very important. Every child is different. This is what I would love to. Parents, don't be afraid to give your child praise and give them credit
Mm,
for something good. If you notice they've matured, or they've changed, or they've grown in an area, or they did something good, don't be afraid to let them know. Give them their credit, man. If they did something good, if you notice, like, okay, you're washing the dishes better. Oh gosh, man, don't hold it back. Please tell them. I
yes,
was even
yes.
telling my son last night, I was like, you've really matured within the last few months. And I was like, I'm so proud of you. You know,
Oh,
Something simple as that, is important.
it
Like,
goes a long way.
does. He picked up basketball and he picked it back up and he's doing so good. And just something simple like that, like, I'm so proud of you. I see your discipline. I see your dedication. You don't have to be nothing big,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm,
dances with the Christian dance school, Dada.
mm-hmm,
And she sat out last year and she started back. So they had a recital in December.
mm-hmm,
And and I told her, I was like, wow, see, like, wow, because she did. I was like, wow, you improved. Like, saying I was really impressed. Like,
mm-hmm,
and even her brother and I was joking, like, we don't even know how she remember these dances, because when she home, she's just in her phone.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Know how, but she did so well. So, parents, give your children some praise, give them some credit. If they do,
Yes,
let them know. Don't just get down on them for when they don't do good. Just don't do that. That's not nice. Just, encourage them, man. You would never know. That could be the little thing to, keep them going, but
yeah,
encourage big, small, little in between. Yeah. And sometimes it's okay depending on it. And if you have, give them a little treat too. If they, do something, give them a little treat. They don't even have to be nothing big either,
big. Mm-hmm.
Take them coffee lounge. They like those cold coffee drinks, something, just treat them. Just
Yes,
able to express that. Don't just get down on them for when they are not performing as you think they should. And parents, don't try to live vicariously through your kids, please. Not because you didn't do it. Please allow them to be themselves. Allow them to be themselves. I mean, because even me sometimes maybe wanted to do that, but I had to be like, no, Jaden is Jaden, Sabrina is Sabrina, Sienna is Sienna.
mm-hmm,
You know, so even
mm-hmm,
like my husband have a business, my mind is open that they might not be interested in running it later on.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Their own thing. And we have to
Yes,
allow them. While you want to groom them for it, we have to also allow them to be them. So parents, don't live vicariously. Of course, you want them to be better than you, but some parents really pushing their children into things because they would have wanted it to, but
Yeah.
just, don't live vicariously through your kids.
Beautiful. A lot of nuggets. Do you want to big up your husband's business?
Oh.
I used to see you posting it on WhatsApp as well. Just big him up one time. Let's go.
Why not? Right Way Car Wash. It's located at the Welcome Road, the entrance of Welcome Road, or AKA Hospital Road. It's very visible. You can see it. There's a car wash there. He does car sales. He can source cars locally for you, brand new, as well as overseas as well. So, and some other stuff are coming soon. So go check it out, guys. Get your car washed the right way.
Yes. Okay. I've had some friends, but I had a friend that got their car washed at Right Way. They said that they did a very good job, like
That's awesome.
top of the top. So if you guys go, you won't be disappointed, like for real, for real.
Oh, listen, there was a case where someone at GB, they complained about a smudge somewhere on the glass. And my husband went and took one of the guys to GB and cleaned that glass for them.
That's great customer service. He's not playing.
But that's how he is. Like, if anybody knows him, the business is definitely a reflection, because a lot of people talk about this setup, because it has a little bar and lounge, so you can wait there while you get your car washed and that kind of thing. So a lot of people like this setup, and they always say it's really clean, especially when they go in the bathrooms. But people who know him, they will know this is Dwayne. It's just a reflection of who he is. So
yes, beautiful.
So we do engine wash, we do steam clean, inside out, we do pickup and delivery. Yes. And you get 50% off every third wash. So that's not a one-time thing. So every 3 times that you bring the car to wash, you get 50% off.
Oh, nice. Look, customer service. And so imagine customer service not always the best. So if you could go and get your car washed, you get to chill at a place. Come on. What more you want? And 50% off after every third wash. Come on, guys. Go and check out Right Way. Thank you, PG, for your time. It was great. It was great conversation. Also, I'm also learning from you for when the time comes. I'd be like, PG, what to do? So thank you for
girl, anything.
Thank you guys for watching today's video. I will see you guys again next time. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you.